Most people believe they are redoing the right thing with money because they are re-following advice that everyone agrees with. Work hard, save when you can, avoid risk, play it safe. It sounds responsible, mature, and intelligent. But here's the uncomfortable question no one asks. If this advice is so good, why are so many people who follow it still stressed, still stuck, and still worried about money after years of effort? Think about it. Millions of people wake up early, go to work, follow the rules, do what they were told, and yet feel like they're running in place financially. They're not failing because they're lazy or careless. They're failing because they were taught financial rules designed for survival, not progress. This is where most people get confused. They assume the problem is income. They believe if they just earn a little more, everything will finally fall into place. But income alone rarely changes anything when the thinking behind it stays the same. In this video, we're going to break down the financial advice almost everyone follows without questioning it. Advice passed down by parents, teachers, society, and even well-meaning experts. Advice that sounds smart on the surface, but creates invisible limits over time. This is not about blaming anyone or promoting shortcuts, hype, or unrealistic promises. It's about understanding why doing what feels responsible doesn't always lead to financial peace. By the end of this video, you'll start seeing money advice differently. You'll understand which rules actually protect you and which ones quietly hold you back. Because once you stop blindly following common advice and start understanding how money really works, everything begins to change. Most common financial advice starts with one simple idea: work hard, earn money, and everything will eventually work out. From a young age, people are taught that effort alone is the key to financial success. Study hard, get a stable job, stay loyal, and keep pushing. On the surface, this sounds logical and responsible. Hard work is important. Discipline matters. But the problem begins when hard work is treated as the entire strategy instead of just one part of it. Many hardworking people assume that because they are putting in long hours and doing their best, financial progress is guaranteed. When progress doesn't happen, they feel confused and frustrated. They start blaming themselves, thinking they are not working hard enough. When in reality, the issue is not effort, but direction. Hard work without a system is like running on a treadmill. You are exhausted, but you are still in the same place. This advice also teaches people to delay financial thinking. They are told to focus on work now and worry about money later. Saving, investing, and planning are treated as things you do after life becomes easier. But life rarely becomes easier on its own. Expenses grow, responsibilities increase, and time quietly passes. By the time people decide to take money seriously, they often feel behind and overwhelmed. Another hidden problem with this advice is that it ties self-worth to income and effort. Without learning how money flows, how it's protected, and how it's grown, effort alone cannot create stability. This is why so many hardworking people feel stuck. They were never taught that working hard is only the starting point, not the solution. One of the most common financial advice people follow is save whatever's left at the end of the month. This sounds practical, but in real life it rarely works. When saving is treated as an afterthought, it becomes optional. Bills, groceries, rent, family needs, and small comforts always come first. By the time everything is paid, there is usually little or nothing left to save. People then promise themselves they will save next month, but the same cycle repeats. This advice fails because spending is emotional and immediate, while saving feels distant and boring. When faced with a choice between comfort today and security tomorrow, the human brain usually chooses today. Over time, saving becomes inconsistent or completely absent. Months turn into years, and people realize they have no financial cushion despite earning regularly. Saving should not depend on leftovers. It should be intentional and automatic. When saving is treated as a non-negotiable expense, like rent or electricity, it actually happens. The problem is not low income in most cases. It is the order in which money is handled. This advice quietly keeps people living paycheck to paycheck, while making them feel responsible for failing at something that was never set up to succeed. Another popular piece of financial advice is buy a house as soon as you can. Homeownership is often presented as the ultimate sign of success and stability. While owning a home can be beneficial, blindly rushing into it can be financially damaging. Many people buy houses not because they are ready, but because they feel pressured by society, family, or fear of being left behind. When people buy homes without proper planning, they often underestimate the true cost. Mortgage payments are only part of the expense. Maintenance, repairs, taxes, insurance, and unexpected costs slowly add pressure. What was supposed to bring stability instead creates stress. People become locked into long-term payments that limit flexibility in savings. This advice ignores personal circumstances. A house is not always an investment. Sometimes, it is just an expensive responsibility. For many, renting while building savings and skills would create more long-term stability. The mistake is not buying a home, but treating it as a universal rule instead of a personal decision. People are also constantly told to avoid all debt. This advice sounds safe, but it oversimplifies reality. Not all debt is the same. Treating all debt as bad prevents people from understanding how money actually works. As a result, they either fear all borrowing or misuse it entirely. The real problem is not debt itself, but uncontrolled and emotional debt. Using credit to maintain appearances, fund lifestyle upgrades, or cover poor planning leads to long-term damage. At the same time, refusing to learn about responsible debt keeps people financially uneducated and limited. This advice also creates shame. People with debt feel like failures instead of learners. Instead of focusing on strategy, they focus on guilt. Healthy financial growth requires understanding risk, cash flow, and discipline. Blanket advice removes nuance and keeps people stuck between fear and confusion rather than progress. Before you take any financial advice at face value, remember this: advice is not universal truth. Most of the tips people follow were designed to sound safe, simple, and comforting, not to actually fit real life. When everyone follows the same rules without questioning them, most people end up in the same place financially. Real progress starts when you stop copying and start thinking. The goal is not to reject all financial advice, but to understand it deeply and apply it according to your own situation. Money is personal, and what works for one person can quietly damage another. If this video helped you see these common ideas differently, take a moment to reflect on which rules you've been following without questioning. And if you want more honest conversations about money, mindset, and financial reality, make sure to stay connected with this channel.